On September 8, 2016, the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau issued a press release announcing that they had fined Wells Fargo Bank $100 million, quote, for the widespread illegal practice of secretly opening unauthorized deposit and credit card accounts. The formal consent order issued by the CFPB stated that Wells Fargo employees had engaged in 4 practices which violated the Consumer Financial Protection Act. Wells Fargo engaged in these practices on behalf of consumers without the consumer's knowledge or consent. As a result of these actions, Wells Fargo will pay an additional fine of $10 million to the Office of the Comptroller of Currency and $50 million to the City and County of Los Angeles. The total fine of $185 million is the highest ever levied by the CFPB. And while the overall amount may be staggering, the segment of Wells Fargo Bank responsible for these services made $3.2 billion in net income in just the second quarter of 2016. According to Emily Glazer of the Wall Street Journal, the illegal activity was widespread, occurring in many Wells Fargo's locations, and was extensive. Over the past few years, Wells Fargo has terminated over 5,300 employees for action related to the illegal sales practices cited in the CFPB consent order. It should be noted that the consent order covers a period of 5 years stretching back to 2011, and during that time Wells Fargo had been aware of these practices and had been taking employment actions prior to the issuance of the consent order and fines. 5,300 employees is a significant number of people and includes both managers and regular team members. However, it does represent only a fraction of Wells Fargo's overall workforce of 268,000. The actions the employees engaged in went beyond taking unauthorized account actions on behalf of customers. They also engaged in questionable activities such as delaying the execution of legitimate accounts or falsely requiring consumers to take on additional services by stating that they were part of a package of services. When questioned about their motives for initiating the unauthorized account actions, the employees largely cited that these were done to meet sales quotas or to obtain performance bonuses. This is where the primary responsibility rests. Individual employees were not coerced to take these actions, and individuals are ultimately responsible for their own actions. However, this is not where all responsibility rests. These violations were enabled by a serious systemic issue at Wells Fargo. There are 4 intersections where ethics, strategic planning, and corporate responsibility meet that created the systemic issues that created the environment that facilitated this illegal conduct. The first intersection of ethics, strategic planning, and oversight is Wells Fargo's heavy emphasis on the cross-selling of products. Cross-selling is where banks or other services-based companies sell additional services to their existing customers. From an ethical perspective, the Wall Street Journal labels cross-selling as a questionable practice and identified Wells Fargo as, quote, the most enthusiastic cross-seller. From a strategic planning perspective, Wells Fargo had put significant emphasis on cross-selling as a revenue stream and made this questionably ethical practice a central tool of their business. The second intersection is where there is an apparent neglect of the corporate responsibility Wells Fargo has towards its employees. It was common for some locations to have multiple daily and even hourly meetings to review progress towards sales goals. This put great pressure on employees to meet the targets established by management. One employee even described how managers had yelled in her face and that sales pressure from management was unbearable. The director of the CFPB, Richard Cordray, stated that it is quite clear that these are unfair and abusive practices. Cordray further stated that Wells Fargo built an incentive compensation program that made it possible for its employees to pursue underhanded sales practices, and it appears that the bank did not monitor the program carefully. This points to the third intersection of ethics, strategic planning, and corporate responsibility. Wells Fargo failed to exercise an appropriate level of oversight of their program and employees. Knowing the potential for abuse, Wells Fargo violated the social contract it has with its customers by neglecting to carefully monitor its account creation processes, the incentive program it in place, and the conduct of the employees it was rewarding for meeting sales quotas and bonus targets. Additionally, employees recounted how managers often ignored unethical or illegal sales practices. Director Cordray went on to say that the CFPB action should serve notice to the entire industry that financial incentive programs, if not monitored carefully, carry serious risks that can have serious legal consequences. Fourth, Wells Fargo has given only lip service to ethical business conduct and has not enculturated ethics and integrity. In its About Wells Fargo web pages, integrity and customer care are referenced, and ethics is listed as one of their corporate values, but no elaboration or explanation of how those ideals impact the organization is provided. Wells Fargo talks about trust, but the context is that consumers can trust them to make them money. This quote by John Stumpf, Chairman and CEO of Wells Fargo, is at the top of the Vision and Values page at the Wells Fargo website. He states, "Everything we do is built on trust. It doesn't happen with one transaction, in one day on the job, or in one quarter. It's earned relationship by relationship." Without providing a context for ethics and how it applies to the business processes of an organization, and without management and leadership modeling and enforcing that ethical conduct, value statements are functionally meaningless. There are two studies that have particular relevance to this situation. The first is by McMurray and Matalich, who demonstrated that trust is core to business success and that unethical practices are not the shortcut to profits they appear to be. Additionally, by facilitating untrustworthy behavior towards customers, company leaders also undermine employee trust of corporate management. As a financial sector company, trust is essential to success, and Wells Fargo has significantly compromised their ability to be trusted by the consumer. The second study, by Schwepker, demonstrates that ethical leadership is a significant contributor to ethical sales practices. Further, ethical sales practices significantly contribute to sales success. The short-sighted approach that Wells Fargo employees and managers took via unethical and illegal sales practices could not produce long-term effects. From simply pragmatic perspective, unethical behavior does not produce long-term results. Had Wells Fargo management exercised a greater degree of oversight regarding its employee relations, its performance management process, and its questionable practice of cross-selling, it could have helped prevent the unethical and illegal conduct of its employees and managers. Finally, if the Wells Fargo corporate culture paid more than lip service to its value of ethics, modeling and integrating trust and integrity throughout its internal and external processes, the temptation to engage in unethical behavior may have been self-regulated by the employees themselves.